this week's presentation, and welcome to another Universal Monster Blu-Ray reviews. And we're going to finish up on Halloween with not one but two, and this is the first installment. And we're going to look at the one that really cemented the Universal Monster franchise, and we are talking about the Frankenstein collection. In this Blu-ray collection, you're going to get all 8 Frankenstein films. That includes the Frankenstein 1931, Bride of Frankenstein from 1935, Son of Frankenstein 1939. Then you follow up with Ghost of Frankenstein from 1942, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman 1943, House of Frankenstein 1944, House of Dracula 1945, and of course the comedy horror classic Abbott and Costello in 1948. So, Frankenstein was the movie that made Boris Karloff an international movie star. A lot of people don't know this, or a lot of Universal Monster fans will know this, but I doubt the average movie fan knows this. But this Frankenstein was actually Boris Karloff's 81st film. Boris Karloff had really been a struggling actor up until this point, and he got the role of Frankenstein through unique circumstances. Frankenstein was conceived, originally was going to be directed by Robert Florey, who was taken off the project and replaced. Now, there has been some statements saying Robert Florey was never going to be the director of Frankenstein, but why he was behind the pre-production of the film is not known. The film was originally supposed to star Bela Lugosi as the monster, but the legend or the stories that have been told is that Bela Lugosi turned down the role because he felt it was beneath him. The monster didn't speak, he would be under this heavy makeup and such. But other film historians have kind of debunked that by saying, why would he be coming off of Dracula? Why would he turn down a prominent role? And they just didn't, it didn't make sense. Now, they said that there was makeup tests with Bela Lugosi dressed up as the monster, and they said it was a very clay-like look, almost like the monster from the Jewish folklore, the Golem. So, needless to say, Bela Lugosi was out. Robert Florey was out as director. He was replaced by James Whale, who, of course, took this movie and made it into a classic, which is still watched till today. Frankenstein also stars Calvin Clyde as Henry Frankenstein, Mae Clarke as Elizabeth, and it also stars Edward Van Salone from Dracula, who played Dr. Van Helsing in Dracula, and Dwight Frye, who had played Renfield in Dracula, now plays a hunchback assistant named Fritz. This movie had some scenes cut out of it in certain areas when it was released in 1931. There's a prominent scene when the monster has come to life, and Henry Frankenstein goes hysterical, and he says the line which was cut, "In the name of God, now I know what it feels like to be God." That was cut out, and obviously back then that was very offensive. The other was scenes of the monster being stuck with needles, and syringes. That was taken out. But a prominent scene in this movie, which Boris Karloff objected to when it was being filmed, was the scene with the monster and the little girl Maria, and he objected to the monster throwing her into the lake. James Whale insisted that that it was to be filmed. He said, it's the ritual. It shows the tragedy of the monster. That was cut. And then it was like just the scene showing the monster playing with the little girl. It cuts immediately to the father of the child bringing her dead body into the village, which makes it even more sinister. So, it's well known. Boris Karloff at the beginning of the film wasn't even credited. He wasn't credited until the end of the movie. But Jack Pierce, this would put Jack Pierce on the map. Jack Pierce was a makeup artist for Universal Studios, who really got his big break in the silent classic film The Man Who Laughs, because it was supposed to star Lon Chaney Sr. And Lon Chaney Sr. was famous for being the man of 1,000 faces. He did his own makeup, and he walked out on the picture. So the part was recast with Conrad Veidt, and it was up to Jack Pierce to give him the gruesome, grinnish smile. And Jack Pierce did such a great job with it. That makeup was the inspiration for the Joker. Yeah, we're talking about the Batman villain, the Joker, the villain we all know and love. He's based off of that Jack Pierce makeup. So, but Frankenstein is what really put Jack Pierce on the map, and he would go on to create almost all of the Universal monsters except for the creature from Black Lagoon. So, there was one thing that was talked about in the makeup process, because Jack Pierce had James Whale was involved in signing off on the makeup, and Boris Karloff, of course, gave his contributions to the look. One of the things that his contribution was is he felt his eyes looked too alive, and asked, "What can we do about it?" And Jack Pierce took mortician's wax and used the mortician's wax to build on his eyelids, the kind of where it kept them a little shut and gave him that look. So it would be 4 years before they would do a sequel. Sequels was not even heard of in the 1930s, but the Frankenstein movie was such a success for Universal, they wanted to follow up on it. James Wells was asked to direct it. He didn't want to, but he was finally talked into it when he was given full reins on the movie. He would control every aspect of the movie, basically. He went on to direct other great horror classics for Universal, including The Old Dark House and The Invisible Man. Boris Karloff returned once more as the monster, along with Calvin Clyde as Henry Frankenstein. However, Mae Clarke did not return as Elizabeth. Valerie Hopstein, she took over the role of Elizabeth. Elsa Lanchester was cast as Mary Shelley, as they did a prologue with Mary Shelley, her husband, Lord Percy Shelley, and Lord Byron. And the little prologue leads into the movie. Elsa Lanchester was also cast as the bride, although she was never credited for that. She talked about her experience with Jack Pierce, which she really didn't like Jack Pierce. He basically made her look like Nefertiti, and you really can't tell that she's a monster until you look underneath her chin and then look at this really detailed scar that he's meticulously put on. Karloff's makeup for the monster goes through build-up stages throughout the movie. It progresses. At the beginning of the movie, it has a very singed look because it picks up right after what Frankenstein ended with the burning of the windmill. The makeup is he has a scar on his burn scar on his face. It slowly picks up and it gets better. Now, this movie is also noted for the monster speaking, which the monster spoke in the original novel, but they had made him mute for the first movie. Karloff objected to the monster speaking. He thought it was a bad idea. And in interviews, his daughter, Sarah Karloff, had said that she felt that that her father was wrong, and that James Whale insisted on it, and that her father was wrong, and his cinematic history proves that he was wrong. There's several wonderful scenes in this movie, but I think the scene that a lot of people talk about is the scene between the monster and the hermit, the blind hermit, where the blind hermit teaches the monster how to speak, and the monster finally feels like he has a friend who accepts him without being afraid of him. But it was a very successful movie, and is considered by movie critics and fans to be the best Universal monster movie of all, and the best of the Frankenstein franchise. They would not do another Frankenstein movie until 1939, and that is The Son of Frankenstein, starring Basil Rathbone. I'm sorry, I was having a brain fart there. As Wolfgang Frankenstein. Boris Karloff returned once more as the monster for his final time as the monster, and Bela Lugosi finally appears in a Frankenstein movie as a broken neck shepherd named Igor. This movie has the distinction of being one of the longest Universal monster movies in the franchise, booking in at almost an hour and 40 minutes. Normally, the Universal monster movies went for about 1:15 to an hour and 10 minutes. A lot of film critics says that this movie is Bela Lugosi's second best role, next to Dracula. Basil Rathbone does a wonderful job as Wolfgang Frankenstein. Wolfgang Frankenstein and his family return back to his ancestral home after the death of his father, which takes place off screen. We find that the monster is still alive, but now he's mute. And Igor is basically, it can influence him, control it. And Wolfgang Frankenstein meets the monster finally and decides that he is going to continue his father's work. He's going to redeem his father's name. This is actually a good movie. It's not as great as Bride of Frankenstein, but it's very good. Bela Lugosi does a great job as Igor. And an interesting fact that Igor is the only time, when you play Igor, is the only time Bela Lugosi wore fangs. He never wore fangs when he played Dracula, and in other vampire movies he did. He never wore fangs. This is the only time he wore fangs. So, but Boris Karloff gives a great performance, but you can tell that he's kind of, he's kind of like, I'm really over this. He was 50. He turned 50 years old during the filming of this movie, and his daughter was born during the filming of this movie. He only had one child, his daughter, Sarah Karloff. So, but this was his final movie as the Frankenstein monster, and it was kind of a nice little swan song for him. Now, they wouldn't return to the Frankenstein franchise until 1942 when they did Ghost of Frankenstein. Bela Lugosi once more returned into his role as Igor, and Lon Chaney Jr. steps into the role as the monster, coming off of his performance as Larry Tabbitt at the Wolfman. Now, they default the look of the monster back to the original look from the first Frankenstein movie. This picks up after Son of Frankenstein. Several years have passed, and the villagers finally have had enough of the curse over their village. People will not come, and they decide, we're going to destroy the castle, and they do. But we find out the monster survived the sulfur pit that he was thrown into at the end of Son of Frankenstein, and Igor pulls him out, and during a lightning storm, he is hit by lightning, and it restores him to more response, and Igor decides they would go and find Frankenstein's other son, Ludwig Frankenstein, to heal him. Uh, Ghost of Frankenstein also stars Elsa Lanchette, Eva Lankers, you had seen her as Gwen in The Wolfman. Also Ralph Bellamy, who was also in The Wolfman, is in Ghost of Frankenstein. This sees the Ludwig Frankenstein is a doctor who is able to cure the sick minds through a procedure where he takes the brain out, repairs it, and puts it back in, similar to a procedure of what his father did. And he decides at first that when he sees the monster, he's going to destroy it. It's brought nothing but misery to his family. He's not going to let the monster destroy his life. But then he has a change of heart, and he decides he has the ability to redeem his father's good name, and that he is going to put a good brain into the monster's body. But that goes awry when his assistant and Igor conspire together, and they put Igor's brain into the monster. But the monster's body is not compatible with Igor's brain, and Igor, now as the monster, goes blind. So, and the villagers come and destroy the chateau with the monster inside it, and there's nice scenes, close-up scenes of the monster in the fire, and you can see his skin, melting with burning, and it's melting and such. But this and such. Lon Chaney does not do a bad job as the monster. Lon Chaney, as I've said in other videos, has the distinction of playing the four big monsters. The Mummy, Dracula. He played the Mummy in The Mummy's Tomb, The Mummy's Ghost, and The Mummy's Curse. He would play Dracula in Son of Dracula, and now he's played the Frankenstein monster in this movie, Ghost of Frankenstein, and of course the Wolfman, which he would play in all the Wolfman movies. So they would follow up in the next year, 1943, with, of course, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. Bela Lugosi now plays the monster because they felt like, well, okay, Igor's brain is in the monster's body, why not just have Bela Lugosi play the monster? Well, the problem with that is Bela Lugosi was, up in years, and he really couldn't handle the physical work that was demanded on playing the monster, so his stunt double had to fill in several times, and there's times that you can see, and there's problems with the performance. Bela Lugosi played it like he should have. The original concept is that we were going to have the monster with Igor's brain. He was going to talk, and but blind. The heads of Universal felt like this is ridiculous. Everybody's going to laugh at the monster talking with a Hungarian voice, which was sort of stupid because they had him talking at the end of Ghost of Frankenstein with Igor's voice. But nevertheless, the monster was rendered mute. Lugosi plays him like he should have been, blind, but the stunt doubles played him like he could see. So throughout the movie, some fans thought, "Oh God, this is just shitty acting," but it really wasn't. It was Lugosi playing the monster the way he knew it should have been played. Lon Chaney gives a great performance as the Wolfman. In this movie, the Wolfman is inadvertently brought back to life, and Larry Tabbitt is, cursed to become the Wolfman at the full moon, and he wants to end his life. The old gypsy Maria tells him about Frankenstein and how Frankenstein can help end his life, and she goes with him to Syria, which he discovers, of course, Frankenstein is dead. Tabbitt discovers the monster and figures the monster can find the Frankenstein's journals, and eventually, with the help of Frankenstein's daughter and a doctor who had chased Tabbitt from England, worked together to not only help end Tabbitt's life but destroy the monster. However, of course, all these good scientists with good intentions, he decides he cannot destroy Frankenstein's creation. He's got to see it at full strength. And of course, he restores the monster to full strength, and he breaks loose. Larry Tabard transforms into the Wolfman, and we have this big fight between the Wolfman and the Frankenstein monster before one of the villagers blows the dam above the castle and causes the waters to flood down and destroy the castle with both creatures inside the castle. Lon Chaney gives gives one of his best performances as the Wolfman, and it also has one of the best transformational scenes of the Wolfman in this movie. There's a nice transformation scene where he's in the bed and you can see him transforming. Transformation scenes from Larry Tabard and the Wolfman were meticulously done. They would shoot a frame. Jack Pierce would come in and put a little makeup on, they'd shoot another frame, and they would keep doing this until he was built up into the full makeup. Very time consuming doing this back in that time. But like I said, Lon Chaney Jr. gives one of his best performances in this movie. So the following year, 1944, they come out with House of Frankenstein, and this is where they go all in. More monsters for your buck. Not only do we have the Frankenstein monster and the Wolfman, we have Dracula, we have a bad scientist, and we have a demented hunchback. Boris Karloff returns for his only time, his last time in a Frankenstein Universal Monster movie, and he does not play the monster, but he plays a mad scientist named Dr. Niemann. And in this movie, the role of the monster is taken over by a former stuntman named Glenn Strange. Lon Chaney plays the Wolfman, of course, and John Carradine takes over the role of Dracula. Lon Chaney gives a wonderful. His performance in this movie is not as good as his performance in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, but he has the distinction of working with two of the greatest Universal horror actors that Universal ever had, in Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi. Lon Chaney worked more with Bela Lugosi than he did with Boris Karloff. I believe this was the only time he got to work with Boris Karloff in a Universal monster movie. Lon Chaney had worked at least 3 times with Bela Lugosi, that being The Wolfman, Ghost of Frankenstein, and Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. So this movie has less appearances of the actual Wolfman, and one of the reasons why that is World War II was in the full swing, and it was very hard to get hold of the yak hair that was used for the makeup of the Wolfman, and that's the reason why, one of the reasons why you see less transformations of the Wolfman. Another possible reason could be is Jack Pierce was notorious of doing his what was called out of the kit makeups using cotton, collodium, and spear gum. He would not use foam rubber appliances because he wasn't that familiar with that technique, and he really didn't want people to know that he wasn't adept in that technique. So, it was, production is, you gotta get it done, and he had to make up the Frankenstein monster, Dracula, the Wolfman, so it was very time consuming. So this is probably weaker of the movies because the story just keeps changing scenes, and you got the first part of it could have been split up into a serial, really. You would have one chapter that was of Dr. Niemann breaking out of prison. You could have had the next one be just Dracula by himself. You could have the next one of Niemann finding the Wolfman and the Frankenstein monster, and then you could finally have them finally arriving at Niemann's laboratory and him trying to revive the monster. So they returned in 1945 for House of Dracula. John Carradine returns as Dracula. Glenn Strange returns as Frankenstein monster, and Lon Chaney returns as Larry Tabbitt, the Wolfman. Once again, very few transformation scenes of Larry Tabbitt, the Wolfman. We briefly see the Frankenstein monster moving around. This is really more of Dracula's movie. He's more prominent in this movie. Although Lon Chaney does have a decent portion of the movie where we find out that Dracula is a rare blood disease. It's not vampirism, which is insane. Larry Tabbitt's is not, he's cursed with werewolfism, but it's the simple fact that there's pressure on his brain that causes him at these times to his metabolism to cause this transformation into the Wolfman. And with surgery to relieve the pressure, Larry Tabbitt's cured. So it's strange. And another tidbit on this movie is this is the final time that we see him as, well, not, I would take it back. There's one more time. So, anyway, in 1948, we got Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein. Excuse me, I keep wanting to add to the title. This is the final time we see the Frankenstein monster, the Wolfman, and Dracula. Dracula this time is played by Bela Lugosi. The only other time he played Dracula for Universal. Abbott and Costello was well known in the 40s. They had done a lot of movies for Universal. They were very lucrative. So Universal thought, well, why don't we take our two lucrative franchises, Abbott and Costello and Universal Monsters, and let's just put them together. So Lugosi gives a great performance. You can tell he's aged, but he just gives it his all. And so does Lon Chaney Jr. He really tries to give it his all. Behind the scenes, Abbott and Costello were known for breaking up between takes. They would get into pie fights. They would do these insane things, but they were very respectful to the actors, especially when they were in full monster makeup. They were very respectful, and they did not one of them got hit with a pie. One of the sad things is that the makeup for the Wolfman is not superior to what you got in previous Wolfman movies, and the reason for that is that unfortunately Universal execs just finally were fed up with the time it was taking to do these monster makeups, and Jack Pierce was never under contract with Universal, so they basically fired him. They gave him the boot after creating all these wonderful monsters that made them lots of money. And Bud Westmore was put in charge of the makeup department, and he used full foam rubber for the Frankenstein monster. The head was not built up. That was full foam rubber that was done. And it was a mask that was done for the Wolfman. And you can tell it's not superior to, it's inferior to the Jack Pierce makeup. And that's one of the few sad things about this movie. But it's a wonderful comedy movie. It's wonderful, and it has, it really gave the Universal Monsters a swan song, as this was the final appearances of the Wolfman, the Frankenstein monster, and Dracula. We see Dracula meet his demise when he is fighting the Wolfman and tries to escape him by transforming into a bat, and the Wolfman grabs him and they fall down to the cliffs in the waters. The Frankenstein monster is burnt when he's chasing Abbott and Costello on a pier. And although it was uncredited, and he didn't actually appear when they finally did the movie, but Vincent Price lends his voice as the Invisible Man at the end of the movie. So, okay, but that's all the movies that are on this collection. Let's talk about what bonus features you're going to get on this when you buy this movie. by the way, this is available on DVD, but why would you want to buy the DVD when you get on the Blu-ray? It's just a couple of bucks more and it makes more sense. So anyway, what you get is, for bonuses, is Frankenstein Files, which is a documentary on all the Frankenstein films. She's Alive, which is an exclusive documentary that talks about the making of The Bride of Frankenstein. You get Karloff, the Gentle Giant, which is a documentary on the life and career of Boris Karloff. The Frankenstein Files, what that is photos of lobby cards, posters, and production stills. Bride of Frankenstein Archives, which is the same thing. Pictures of posters, lobby cards, and production stills. Abbott and Costello Meets the Monsters, which is a documentary of the making of Abbott and Costello Meets Frankenstein. You get 4 feature commentaries on the various movies and theatrical trailers. So that's what you're getting on this. Let's open this up and take a look. As you've seen on the previous Universal Monster Legacy collections, the front and the back are the same as the slipcase. Open it up here. You can see right there. This is Frankenstein. There's the nice little silhouette of Boris Karloff as the Frankenstein monster, and of course, just the movie descriptions that you would see normally on any movie poster. The Bride of Frankenstein is a separate disc with the silhouette of Valessa Lanchester as the bride. Son of Frankenstein, Ghost of Frankenstein, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula, and then of course Abbott and Costello Meets the Wolfman. So, now, there are other formats that the movies are available on. I also own the movie on the Universal Classic Monsters collection. You've seen this several times in videos, but there's Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, the Invisible Man, the Bride, and the Mummy. And on the back here is all the other the movie posters for the said movies. So, what other formats do I own the movies on, the Frankenstein movies on? And I have quite a different kind of formats that I own them on, but let's look at the very first format that I own it on. This was the original DVD release of the Frankenstein movie when Universal was releasing the monster movies on DVD for the very first time. This is the original movie poster for Frankenstein movie. And you can see there's classic monster collection. So, and here's the back here. Here's a nice little shot of Boris Karloff as the Frankenstein monster. So, basically, you get the same features that you got on the Frankenstein Legacy Collection Blu-ray. You get the Frankenstein Files, which is the documentary. You get cast productions and notes. You get production stills and such. So, let's open this up, and you can see the disc is just a basic gold color and such. There's the movie poster again, and look at the back of it, and there's a nice little shot of Boris Karloff as Frankenstein monster. And then you open it up, it gives you a list of the chapters, you know, how it's set up on the DVD, and nice little the villagers chasing the Frankenstein monster. So, alright, so let's move along and look at the next format that I have the movie on. And this is the 75th anniversary edition of the Frankenstein movie. I'm not going to open this because the actual slip that holds it is coming loose, but this is the outside cover. You can see this nice little brown painted silhouette of the Frankenstein monster. The back here that lists what you get on the DVDs. It's to this set, and there's Boris Karloff as the Frankenstein monster. Now, I do believe this is out of print. You're going to have to get this on secondhand if you want it, but everything that's on these discs are on the Legacy Collection. So, what you get is you get Karloff, the Gentle Giant, which is the biography of documentary on the life and career of Boris Karloff. Feature commentary. You get the Frankenstein Files, the documentary on the Frankenstein movie. You get the Frankenstein Archives, which is the pictures of movie posters, lobby cards, and production stills. And then you get a film, Universal Horror, which is a documentary on the horror movies of the 20s, 30s, and 40s. So, then what was released, and you can get this still, but and such. And this was the first release of what they call the Legacy Collection, Frankenstein. You can see it says Boris Karloff there. This, when you slip this out, you'll see that this is just a clear little window with, you know, a silhouette down there. And then you have this here with the Frankenstein monster in green. And then on the back here is a list of all the discs that you get. And then you open it up, and you can just see you got there. And this is a flip disc. It's a two-sided disc. So what do you get on this? You get the Frankenstein movie with all the features. You get The Bride of Frankenstein with all of its features. You get Son of Frankenstein. You get Ghost of Frankenstein, House of Frankenstein. You do not get House of Dracula, nor do you get Abbott and Costello meets the Wolfman on this. So I bought this in a box set along with Dracula and the Wolfman from Best Buy. And in that box set, it also came with this nice little mini bust of Boris Karloff as the Frankenstein monster. You can see here it has the Frankenstein, the year the movie came out, and Boris Karloff. This is a very nice piece, collectible that I have. This was made by Sideshow Collectibles, and really love this. This is something that you would only get on eBay. You're not going to find this in the store. And I can tell you right now, you're not going to find mine on eBay. This is not going to depart. It stays in my personal collection. So, anyway, nice beautiful piece there. And so the next that we have in the collection for DVDs, I own a lot of the DVDs because every time they released it, I would buy it. So here is The Bride of Frankenstein. This was the only sequel to the Frankenstein movies that was released in the first wave of releases when Universal started releasing the monster movies. This is the original movie poster for Bride of Frankenstein on the front of the DVD. Then on the back there, you can see a description of the movie and a nice little picture of Elsa Lanchester as the bride. On this, you're going to get She's Alive, which is the documentary of the making of Bride of Frankenstein. You're going to get feature commentary. You're going to get the Bride of Frankenstein Archives, which is pictures of lobby cards, movie posters, and production stills. You're going to get production notes and trailer for the movie. So, let's open it up real quick, take a look. You can see there's the same gold color disc, the little slip sheet that shows the movie poster that's on the front, and then on the back there's another nice little shot of Elsa Lanchester as the Bride of Frankenstein. And then you open it up, and of course you see the list of all the chapters. Nice. This is a nice little shot, still shot of Boris Karloff and Elsa Lanchester as the monster and the bride. So it's very, very good. Now this one you can still get if you want it. It's by itself on DVD, but you can also get it on Blu-ray by itself if you just want the bride, or the Frankenstein movie itself. You can get it on Blu-ray by itself. So the sequel movies that came out, Son of Frankenstein and Ghost of Frankenstein, are on a double feature set on DVD. Now, if you want these two movies by themselves, this is the only way you're going to get them. You cannot get them by themselves on Blu-ray. So, you can see there's Ghost of Frankenstein, House of Frankenstein. And you can see the back there. And finally, the last DVD that I have is Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman and House of Frankenstein. And of course, there's the back there, and there's that. So anyway, I would recommend just getting them on Blu-ray. It'd be a lot easier, and I think most people have Blu-rays now, so that would be the best way to get it, in my opinion. So this was filmed on Halloween, so if you happen to be watching this after Halloween, you're not going to be able to see it. But if you're watching this before Halloween, tonight on MeTV, Svengoolie will be showing Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman for their Halloween night. So I'm going to be definitely watching that. That's going to be a lot of fun. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to check out all the other great content on the Geek This Week YouTube channel, including Hammer horror Blu-ray films. Also check out all the great panels from the various Pensacons and much, much more. And don't forget to check out the final installment of our Universal Monster Blu-ray review.